as promised, I am here at 5 o'clock. I'm just gonna wait a little bit for some people to get in here because I didn't schedule this live stream. I forgot to schedule it. Um, but I pretty much have all the things that I like to use for protection spells. I think my sage is like in another room, but let me wait just a little bit for people to come in here. Yeah, let's just wait a little bit. I ate right before. I ate so much before the live stream. I did a big no. I went like a long time without eating, and then yeah, I like ate a lot. So now I got the itis. We got enough people in here for me to want to live stream because I've only got, I don't want to say only because I'm not ever on this channel and it's a spiritual channel, so it's harder to grow. But I only have like 10% of the amount of followers on this channel than that channel. So 5 people is plenty enough for me to get started. So if you're new to this channel, welcome to the channel. If you do not know me from my main channel, my name is Queen. And I pretty much started diving into spirituality in 2021 because I had a holistic therapist, and she kind of had me. I went down this like whole rabbit hole of like spirituality and things like that. And also, thank you, by the way. It's actually like a baby doll. I'm not going to show the whole thing, but it's like a baby doll from Savage Fenty. I like being in the house in like lingerie or like pajamas, like cute things like that. I haven't worn my red nightgown in a while. I need to whip the red nightgown out because it's been a while. But I really like really feminine robes and lingerie and stuff like that to wear. But yeah, so I've been dabbling with spirituality since 2021. I have worked with a divination teacher before. So like she taught me how to do tarot. She's taught me hoodoo. She's taught me all different types of like all different types of spells, you know what I mean? Whether it be for anything with herbs or candles or water or fire, or if like a kitchen witch or anything like that, essentially all the things. And like honestly, the number one rule with anything spiritual or anything with like spell casting, there's only one thing that is a requirement. Okay, like all this stuff, like that's the thing about doing any spells. All of this stuff, this is just for fun. Okay, this is just fun extra stuff. I made that very clear because I think sometimes when people want to delve into spirituality, people get so caught up on the products and the order and the steps and like all of these things that just, it's really mental gymnastics that isn't necessary and it's not required and it's not going to make the spell need for anything spiritual or any work that you're going to be doing. You need a strong intention and you need a strong belief in what it is that you are intending to have to make this spell work. If you don't believe that the spell is going to work, it's simply not going to work. Okay, so you can have all the herbs, the oils, the candles, you can have all of that stuff, but if you don't have a strong intention and a belief that you like have a strong belief in which this is going to work and this is going to play out, your spell is not going to work. It's really that simple. What was that the first time you got into spirituality was through the holistic person? How did you truly get into with yourself, build your aura, and be at peace? Well, I knew I liked things spiritually when I was like younger, simply because I didn't grow up in a household. Like I didn't grow up in a normal household, in my opinion. Like we grew up Catholic, but my mom wasn't afraid of spirituality. And the more the more my mother gained more cultural influences is when she started opening up her like eyes to more spirituality. So like my mom started looking into like Bollywood influences and like Indian influences, and like that kind of brings you into things like Hinduism and Buddhism and stuff like that. And so like we would go to like this store called like Greenfields, and they would have like all of the like woo stuff there. And I was like, this stuff is like really, really cool. So I already kind of like had it inside of me, um, where I was interested, but I had just left a relationship in 2021, and I got therapy, and I guess it kind of just made me more comfortable to go delve more into these things that aren't so mainstream or accepted. Okay. So back to the spells. Okay. Number one thing that you need is a strong intention. Okay. Number two, as you like play around, like that's like the best thing about like the spells. Like you can play around to figure out like what type of stuff that you like. I like fire. Okay. So I like to do a lot of candle work. Okay. If you're doing anything for protection, black is the color that will help you with anything banishing or with anything protection. So there are a lot of witches, and a lot of witches wear black. You know, that's the reason why for Halloween, black is like one of the main colors. You know what I mean? Like for Halloween, Halloween is technically like a pagan type of like holiday. Um, but black is good for cleansing, it's good for banishing, and it's good for protecting. So if you are into fire and you really like candles, and you don't have any herbs, a really quick, easy way that you can create a protection spell with a candle is you simply just say over the candle. Well, I like to sage everything first. Okay. So like that's what I like to do. A cleanser and a protector. So, I will set my intention, and you can have any intention that you want. So, I ask the universe to remove all obstacles, to protect me from enemies, and anything negative sent to me will be returned to sender. That's kind of like something along the lines that I like to say. And so, you can go as deep into this as you want. You know what I mean? You can say that as you're lighting it. Sometimes I'll hold it in my hand and I'll say it, and I'll just keep saying it, kind of like a prayer. I'll keep saying it and saying it and saying it. And then I'll light the candle, and then you could just light the bottom of it. Put it in like a fire safe pan. Anyway, you can also just kind of like, blow it out if that works. So, yeah, this is how you can use this with a candle. If you're someone that wants to use fire and you don't have a candle, you can do something on a piece of paper. So if there is a person, there is a particular person that you want protection from, so maybe it's like a stalker, there's someone that's trying to harass you, there's someone that's fucking with you at work, you can write their name. You can take a piece of paper, you do the same thing, you write an intention, you say an intention, you write that person's name and like as much information as you possibly can on the piece of paper. You just burn the paper up. Or you can flush it down the toilet, or you can crumple it up, you can throw it outside. Yeah, I don't know if you all remember that movie. I don't know if anyone's ever seen that movie Tales from the Hood, but like whenever I think of like spells with paper, okay, whenever I think of spells with paper, I always think of that scene with Tales from the Hood, when it's like because there's multiple stories in Tales from the Hood, but there's the one story where it's like a domestic violence type of thing, and the son is like getting sick of his dad like beating up his mother, and so he's like having all of these like dreams of like, well, I guess you could say nightmare, but he's like having like a nightmare of like a monster or whatever, and so essentially like he drew a picture of like he drew a picture of like his abusive father, right? And then like he channeled that he was the monster. And then what he did was like he used his power to like have the monster come out to have his dad like essentially be killed. And then like he took that piece of paper, he crumpled up that paper. I kind of think of whenever I like do protection spells with like paper, like you're crumpling up the person, you're flushing down the person, you're burning the person. Like that's a really easy way for you to also have like a really quick protection spell that you can use. If you ever want to use like herbs, so I'll let you guys know what herbs that you can use for protection. If you are someone who you suffer from nightmares and like maybe you are having spiritual attacks through your sleep, mugwort is a really, really good herb that you can use. You actually can like make a tea out of it. So what you can do is you could take like 1 or 2 teaspoons, because it can give you like lucid dreaming, and it can enhance you astrally. So you don't want to go too crazy on how much you use. You can start out with a teaspoon and work your way up from a teaspoon. And you could drink this before sleep, and this can help you with like any spiritual attacks that you may potentially have in your sleep. It's really, really good. So if you're a kitchen witch, okay, so like let's just say you don't have a whole lot of money, like there are witches called kitchen witches, and essentially you can be a witch with the stuff that you have in your kitchen. So you can do this with bay leaves. So like just how I gave you guys the example with like a piece of paper that you can crumple up, you write bay leaves. So essentially you can write the name of the person that you want protection from, or that you want banished, that you want to have it be returned to sender if they're trying to send you any negative energy. You just write their name on the bay leaf, and then same thing, like you would just burn the bay leaf, okay? Another one that you can use is black pepper. Okay, black pepper is really, really good for protection, and like you can razzle dazzle this stuff up as much as you want. So like just like how I mentioned the candle earlier, you could take all of these herbs. You could take an oil. You could just put the oil all over this candle. You could dress the candle up with whatever herbs that you want. Like if you want it strictly to be a protection spell, you just get a book, or even look it up, find whatever herbs it is that help you with protection, like the ones that I named. So like I have basil. Like basil's really good, right? So basil would fall into like the kitchen witch, because most people have basil in their kitchen. So if you wanted to, you could take a candle, take some oil, dress it up in basil. If you have some salt, you can put a circle of salt around the candle, and then you just go on ahead, you set your intention, and then you burn it. Boom. That's a protection spell. Also, if you don't want to do all that, a lot of these places, these like, I'm trying to think of what the metaphysical. You can just type in metaphysical stores near you, and usually metaphysical stores, they usually sell like a protection. They usually sell like a protection mix. And if you are someone that's into hoodoo, if you're interested in that, you can do what's called a mojo bag. And so essentially like a mojo bag is like a piece of cloth that you take. You put whatever herbs that you want to put in there for protection. You go on ahead and you tie it up, and then your mojo would essentially, you would keep it on your person. And it's also very important that for mojo bags, like you don't let anybody know that like you have a mojo bag, or they can see your mojo bag. I mean, unless someone makes a mojo bag for you, like that should be the only person that like knows that you have a mojo bag. Like you have to keep those like very, 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 very guarded. Because they harness a lot of energy with like the cloth, and then the herbs that you put in there, and then with you tying it off, like it's something that you want to just kind of keep only with your energy like tethered to it, I guess. Another one is hyssop. That's another good herb that you can use. And another one, calendula. So calendula is like a flower. They kind of, I don't know, they kind of remind me of like, they kind of look like little baby dried like sunflowers. But you can use calendula, and then also for like a kitchen witch part, you can also use rosemary. You could use fresh rosemary. I like to use rosemary for like when I'm cooking, like especially if I'm going to cook a steak. Sometimes I'll make a protection spell out of me just cooking with just me using the rosemary. Like you can get the whole point of this is just to do it to what fits you, what makes sense for you, what's something that you can easily do. You know what I mean? Like you don't have to go out of your way to get all these herbs and like work hard. Like I really, really push that on my channel, that the number one thing that you need is an intention. Excuse me. So those are all of the herbs. I explained everything with the candles. Um, for dry protection, you could just use sage. Okay. For a dry protection spell, you could just use sage. If you don't want to use any of this stuff, you essentially would just burn sage, and then while you're smudging, you would smudge yourself. So you just go like this, you just put it all around you, and you would just say the same thing, like, remove all obstacles, protect me from any enemies, any envy or hatred or jealousy, et cetera, anything that has been sent my way, return to sender. You would just put the sage head to toe, use it to smudge you from the use it to smudge and rid yourself of any of that energy, and then boom, that's a protection spell. That's really easy. Sometimes for heavier energies, because like sometimes you need a real good, like deep cleanse of your energy. I'm not always the best about regularly doing protective spells, but another thing too is that the more you protect your energy on a daily basis by like making sure that you uphold your own boundaries, making sure you're not burning yourself out, et cetera, the less you're going to have to do a protection spell, because you're already protecting yourself. You already have yourself kind of guarded up enough from outside forces where you won't have to do the spells as much. But maybe you work like, your current situation. If you're like in an abusive relationship, if you're in a situation where you cannot remove yourself instantly from a situation, you're going to have to do something a little bit more like heavy. And so in my opinion, like a more heavier type of protection spell that you could do is to do a bath. Okay. By using a pink Himalayan salt. So like if you work in a really toxic environment, if you're working in an environment where you're constantly having to watch your back, you feel as though people are trying to get you out of there, they're trying to set you up, they're trying to get you fired, you may have to make this like a weekly occurrence. You know what I mean? So I'm really big on water when it comes for like heavier protection spells, because you're literally washing it off of you. Okay. So I'm going to give you all 2 different ways that you can do it, because I am aware that not everybody has a bathtub. There are a lot of people that live in places and it's just a stand-up shower only. So I'll give you what I do having a bathtub. Okay. So like if you have a lot of energy, you have to use everything. Okay. So what I like to do is I like to have a bath. And while that bath water is running, I like say the intention, right? I'm saying the intention while I'm like running the bath water. And then essentially what I do is like, I kind of envision that like the bath water has like an orb of light around it that's like shielding me from anything outside. Okay. So it's like my own little fortress of like me being protected. Okay. Then I will add pink Himalayan salt and like go crazy. Okay. Like add a lot of freaking salt. Okay. Salt is great for protection and it's really, really good for banishing. And then if I need another layer of protection from that, these herbs that I told you guys about, you can put them in the bathtub, but that gets messy. What I do recommend for you to do is to buy yourself one of those wire tea bags, the ones that you put loose leaf tea in, and you just close it up and you reuse it. Get yourself a special one of those to just only use for the bathtub. And then what you can do is you could take your mix and then you can put it in the steel tea bag and you can just pop it in the water. Okay, boom, there you go. And then even more, what I'll do is I will take like a water safe crystal. I'll get into crystals that you can use at the end, but like black tourmaline is like a water safe crystal. So then I'll even take a black tourmaline and I'll throw that in the bath water too. And then I'll sit in there for about 20 minutes, and let me tell you, like, you're gonna feel so much lighter after your 20 minutes is up. You're gonna feel great. Okay, so then if you don't have a bathtub, essentially you would kind of like do the same thing. So you know how like Okay, so you know how I told you that, like, if you're doing it in the bathtub and you're gonna add herbs, you would just throw the steel tea bag in the water. Okay, instead of doing that, what you're gonna do is you're gonna like brew it as if you were like making your own special cup of tea. Okay, you'll brew it as if you're literally making your own special cup of tea, and then what you'll do is you'll put that what you steeped from that, you're going to put that in a jar, and then you will bring that into the bath with you. So like I've done this because I have like confidence, like I'll make like my own confidence builder brews or like protection brews. And so I'll literally treat it like a tea, but I'll put it in my hair. So these are really good things these are really other like unique ways that you can use this if you're washing your hair, because your hair also does hold energy, right? So what you can do is you can have that water, and when it's time for you to wash your hair and you're in the shower, all you have to do is just take those same herbs that you steeped and just pour it in your hair. Pour it in your hair while you're washing your hair. You would be doing the same thing. And then instead of you having the salt sitting with you in the bath, you could just have the pink Himalayan salt, and you could just use that to exfoliate yourself. And you could literally still have the crystal in the bath with you, like in the shower with you, right? So that's how you would do it if you didn't have a bathtub to do it in and you simply just had a shower. Okay. Um, Crystals. You don't have to go crazy with crystals. This is more so like for like your anything for you to have on your person. So like a mojo bag or like a crystal. These are really good if like you're going to a different destination. So like let's say like you're going to travel, or let's say that you have like a job interview or a first date or something like that. These are like really good options for you to have like when you're on the go, you know. So I personally like black tourmaline. It's like the OG of all protective crystals. Okay, black tourmaline is super super simple, super simple to cleanse. I just use a salt cleanse for it. Super easy, water safe, like very easy crystal to have on you. You can also use obsidian, you can use amethyst, you can use labradorite or I think it's labradorite. But me personally, I just keep a black obsidian or like black tourmaline. Anything black, okay? Black is always going to be the color of protection no matter what it is that you're using, okay? That's like a very good thing to remember. Okay, so another thing is oils. So if you do okay, so you can do this one of two ways, okay? You can use these oils to dress up your candle, or you can make your own oil to put on you, okay? You can buy Van oil, okay? Van oil is really really good for anything negative. You can also make your own Van oil. It's like verbena oil, lemongrass, I think maybe frankincense is in it, but you could look up Van oil and you could just buy your own oil. But things like frankincense, clove is really good. You can also have clove in the herb form if you want, and you can put your herbs in the oil if you want to. Patchouli, I do have patchouli in the herb form. Cedarwood, I know I have that in the oil form. Lavender, because a lot of these herbs, you can get them in the same form in the oil as well, and you can like mix them together. Just always remember that you need a carrier oil. You can use pyrite too. I actually use pyrite. I use pyrite. I usually use pyrite and then obsidian or tourmaline together. I usually use the two together. Um Yeah, so those are all the oils that you can use. Just remember, if you're going to make your own oil, you need to have a carrier oil with it. I usually use almond oil. It's really simple. So you can make your own oil, and you can have it just be just oil, or you could add herbs to it. You can use the oil to dress your candle first and then add herbs to it. Um, oh, back to salt. Another thing that you can do when you're cleansing your home. Okay, so like how I said that. Okay, you can like those herbs that you steep if you don't have the bath, but you have a shower and you would like pour that over your head. Okay, another thing that you could do is like you could put that in a bottle, like a spray bottle, and you can spray your home with that. So like if you had somebody come over and they kind of gave you weird vibes and your home feels kind of after that, you can not only sage your home, but you can also like spray like your furniture or whatever just to like protect your home from all that stuff too. And then this is a really, really good time. Most grocery stores have them. I know Trader Joe's has them, and I know Sprouts have them. The cinnamon brooms, okay? Cinnamon brooms are really, really good for protecting your home. Usually I get one. I have a small one. I ended up getting a small one, but I'm gonna get a few. I I have a small one, but I usually get like 2 or 3, like bigger ones, okay? You can have those at the front of your house, okay? You can take those little cinnamon brooms and put those at the front of your house. Those can be really, really good for protection when it comes to people thinking twice about like coming to your home or wanting to solicit or kind of wanting to act crazy. You know what I mean? Especially around this time too. So that's another good thing that you can do. Also for your floors, I like to do this for my floors, but I like to add stuff that I will use like mop the floor with. Okay. That way you're banishing everything off of your floors. Once again, like if you're at the workplace and the energy is kind of weird there, that's the reason why people don't like to walk around with like outside shoes around their home. Like people want you to keep your shoes at the front like of the door, simply because number one, not only is it like more hygienic, but also number two, you're not bringing all that energy that you've taken from whatever place you're at and like you brought it in the home. So that's a really easy way to just clean it with having the salt. Just put it in whatever you use to like mop your floors and stuff like that, and you can use that. I'm trying to think of anything else. Honestly, I feel as though I've covered everything. Um, I don't know if she said I don't. Is it someone else's sound getting funky? I don't know. I think they would let me know if my sound sounded weird. Hopefully, it's not. Hey, Triple L. Hopefully, you enjoyed the live earlier. They told me not to use it for children or teen. Can be too heavy. Yeah, I agree. I don't think there's definitely no need for that crystal to be for anybody like young because, well, number one, I don't have any children. Okay, I am childless. I am child free. So most of my content, like, I'm not really keeping like children in mind for stuff like that. Um, but usually, like, this is the reason why I pretty much started in the order of like the lowest thing that you can do, and I kind of brought myself down to like the heaviest thing that you could do. Okay, so like I said, the easy stuff is like a piece of paper. You know what I mean? A piece of paper, a candle. You make the more you add to something, the stronger you make it because you're putting more intention into it, because the whole entire time that you're working, you have to be fixated on what the intention is. So it's like that whole entire time that like you're dressing your candle with oil, you're dressing your candle with herbs, like you actively have to be thinking about the protection spell, because that's what's going to make it stronger, because you're working with it longer, you're thinking about it longer, you know what I mean, you're adding more power to it because you're fixated on it longer. So that's the reason, that's kind of like the order that I did it in. So anything for like children or teens, it's going to be the things that I talked about earlier in the stream. So your paper, your candle, something very simple. What do you mean about dressing the candle with oil? So, like, I named all those like oils that you can use. So, essentially, what you would do is you would take like the oils of your choice that you want to use. Okay, you would add your carrier oil. Okay, so you would add like an almond oil. You know what I mean? Because almond oil is a carrier oil. So you would have most of the oil be almond oil, and then you can add like your clove oil or your frankincense or your patchouli and your cedar wood. You can add a few drops of each of those, and then boom, you can make sure you get a label, make sure you date the day that you made it, and then like give it a cute name, like whatever your name is. So like, I don't know, I'm just gonna say Queen's Protection Oil. Okay, Queen's Protection Oil, 9/18/2025. So now I know that if I ever want to use an oil for protection, that's the oil that I can go to. So then what you'll do is you'll add the oil to the candle, because in order for the herb to stick to the candle, it can't stick to the candle with like just the candle bare like this. It has to have like an oil on it. So just put the oil on the candle, put whatever herbs, like set whatever little concoction of herbs that I want to have in there on there, and then boom, I just roll it in the herbs, and I burn the candle, and boom, now the candle's dressed. Says it twists the energy. I think it honestly reflects back to exactly to whoever entered. Most definitely. Most definitely. Did you hear about Sydney Sweeney selling soaps made from her bath water? Would people buying the soap want to siphon from her, or she's doing the magic on them? Um, Honestly, because men are the demographic at that point, it's happening really in both ways. Because so Sydney Sweeney is kind of like learning a lesson essentially, because she really, really wanted to be relied on for her acting skills, but men viewing her are looking at other things that she has going on for herself physically. And so essentially, with her not trying to box herself into that, she realized that that wasn't going to work, because men already box you in. You don't really get to make the decision on how they're going to view you. And so that's when she started kind of leaning in more into like being a sex symbol, because it's profitable. It just makes money when when men are your target demographic. It just kind of is what it is. So I think it's happening both ways, because I don't think it's the men that are buying her soap that are siphoning energy from her. It's the industry that is siphoning energy from her, if that makes sense. Because essentially, she's a slave to being a sex symbol at this point. Is everybody still here? I think my stuff is like kind of messing up. Please let me know if it is or not. But the bath water was kind of crazy. Like the soap was kind of crazy, but it's making her money, and because at this point, that's really the only way that she's gonna make money now. You said it's bad. Oh no. Oh no. I wonder why it doesn't sound good. Lagging hard. Okay, give me a second. I don't know. I kicked myself off and then went back in, but like StreamYard is really, really weird. Um, it is. StreamYard is like super weird. Hold on. I'm trying to like close out as many things as possible to also like make sure that it's nothing that could be making it lag. Um, okay. Hopefully it stops doing that. But on my end, it's not saying that I'm having a connection issue. So I don't know what's going on. Maybe the spirit doesn't want me to have you all be protected. I'm really sorry. I know. That's what I'm saying. I sounded that this may be that they don't want me to give you all this information. But I'm done anyway. honestly, I'm done anyway. Um, I don't want you all to be suffering through like really crappy um quality on here. But yeah, that's really everything that I do or everything that I've done for a protection spell. There are some other things that you can do. I don't have any reversal candles, simply because I don't have anybody that I know of or I would need one yet. But if you do have a person that you know is like doing something that you would need protection from, you can buy a reversal candle. So usually reversal candles are like they're like the big giant like glass candles, and they're like half red and then half black. And essentially it's a return to sender. Um, anything with protection, I don't believe in hexes. Okay. I personally don't believe that you should like hex anybody or send anything negative to another person's way, because you don't know what entity they have attached to them. And I'm not trying to piss anybody off. So I always like to do a return to sender. So whatever they send toward me, I just send it back towards them. I'm just matching the energy at that point. No harm, no foul if you're matching the energy. So you can get a reversal candle for that at a metaphysical store. Another thing that you can do, and I have a video on it, is you can do what is called an egg cleanse. Egg cleanses are very, very good. Yeah, because it's kind of lagging for me too. It's kind of lagging for me too. So I don't know what's going on with the I don't know what's going on with the connection today. I'm so sorry. Um, so for an egg cleanse, it's real simple. Essentially, what you do, you just get an egg, literally from your kitchen, literally an egg. And what you do essentially is you pretty much you set an intention. You ask the egg like reveal any enemies, absorb any negative energy that I can be carrying, etc., etc. You would start from like your head, and essentially what you do, you just rub the egg. You rub it on your head. I focus a lot on my head the most, because you have hair here. This is where you're going to carry the most energy. So I like to focus a lot on my head. And then I move it all around my body until I like hit my feet. Sometimes you'll have so much energy coming off that the egg will crack on its own. The last time that I did a egg cleanse, that's what happened. I didn't like crack it on me or anything. I literally was just moving it around and it cracked on its own. What you want, well, it's not only an egg. Sorry, I got ahead of myself. You need an egg and you need a jar, like a glass jar, something that you can see through. So you need an egg in a glass jar, and then you need that glass jar filled up halfway with room temperature water. It needs to be room temperature because you don't want it hot, because you don't want it to cook the egg, and then you don't want it, so it has to be room temperature water. So after you get the egg all over you, what you're going to do is you're going to crack the egg into the water. And what you're going to do is you're going to wait like 3 to 5 minutes, let the yolk do its thing. And then what you're going to do is you're going to like look eye level with the water. And then you're going to look at the formation that the yolk and the membrane made in the water. And you can look it up yourself, but there's symbols that are going to be in the yolk that are indicative of, like, there's a meaning. It's the cool thing about the egg cleanse is that if you want to start, it's a really good way to get into the symbols. So if you want to start playing with symbolism, and egg cleanse is a really, really fun way to start doing that. And so all you have to do is just look up egg cleanse meanings. Okay. So sometimes if you crack your egg, like if there's blood in the egg, then like that's kind of like a sign of danger. Like there probably is somebody that is actively trying to have an attack on you. Okay. The last time I have a video on it, like I legit have a video on it, and I showed you guys like what the results were and everything. Just type in egg cleanse. It'll come right up on the channel, or should come right up on the channel. You may have to search it, but it was like it's like it was kind of creepy, I'm not gonna lie. Um, but it actually was like a perfect revelation to what I was going through at that time, because I actually did have somebody who was in my life and they were like eyeing me essentially. Okay. Like the person was really jealous and really like envious. And so you'll have the yolks where like the spike is up. Like I think spike up is positive, spike down is negative. Hold on, let me look it up. I can share the screen with you guys in a second. Okay, so here we go. So let me share. Hopefully I remember how to do this. I haven't done it in so long and they've changed so many things. What's this? Here we go, share screen. Okay. Is it this one? Oh, that's the wrong one. Hold on. I clicked the wrong one. Okay, it's this one on Pinterest. Okay, cool. So let me make this bigger. So yeah, like you can look it up like literally on Pinterest and it'll tell you like, if it's spiky, if you can see like a person in it. Um if like they have it for water bubbles too. So like a lot of the time there might be like water bubbles in there. And usually like if you have a high amount of water bubbles, that is like indicative of like how much negative energy surrounds you. Like I said, red yolk is usually a bad sign, like you need to be on alert for someone. But the biggest thing is looking for a symbol in the yolk. And now I can have myself back. Boom. Oh, I guess not. There we go. Yeah, and you could just look up the symbol. You can just look at the symbol of whatever it is that you see, because yeah, for symbols, there's usually legends. So this isn't a cleanse thing, but like for readings, you can do tea readings. Like if you have friends that are into like witchy stuff, especially because it's going to be getting a little bit cooler outside. A really cool thing that you can do to get together to kind of break the tradition of like your typical tea party, you can do what's called a tea reading. And so essentially, you get like a cute like little tea set and you'll take like a loose leaf tea. I like to use oolong tea. And so essentially what you'll do, you'll prepare the oolong tea for everybody, but you'll allow it to be loose. Okay. You won't put in anything. You let the leaf be loose in the water, and then you'll have everybody drink the water down until they can have as little water in the cup. That way it's like majority of the leaf of the tea. And there's like a legend. So there's two legends for the tea reading. There is a legend of the cup, and the legend of the cup is going to go from the bottom of the cup to the top of the cup. And from bottom to top, where the loose leaf falls from top to bottom is going to be indicative of the past, the present, and the future. Okay. So up and down is in relation to time. And then you would look at the tea, where you would look at where the leaves fell, and then you'll have a legend for your symbols and what the symbol shows in relation to what it means. And then you would analyze the leaves and you would try to do your best to figure out what symbol it would make. And then you would look at your little legend of the symbol, and then what that you see would be indicative of like when it's going to happen. Okay. Um, like I said, that has nothing to do with like cleansing, but it's just me piggybacking off of like the whole symbolism thing, like just another way for you to get comfortable with symbols. And the internet has a legend for everything. Okay. Like I have it in the back, but you could even look up tea reading legend and it's going to come right up. It's going to be a little cup that says past, present, future on it. Boom. There you go. You can use that for a tea reading. Or what's the symbol, like what's the symbolism of a dove or a turtle or a this or that. Like every object is a symbol. Every little thing, every single thing has a meaning behind it. Literally every single thing has a meaning behind it. No matter like the shape or the animal or anything like that. Yeah, it's all symbolic. So yeah. That's pretty much all. I covered everything. Thanks for sticking around through like the really laggy, really poor quality of the stream. Um, Sorry about that, cuz yeah, on my end everything was good. So, I don't know. Wi-Fi here can be a little bit shaky. Have you done anything with blood? You said sorry if TMI. Honestly, I haven't really worked a whole lot with blood. I really haven't. I do have a video. I do have a video on things that you can do with blood. Um, I look at it like this. I try not to use anything power. I thought it was my connection. No, it's me. It's me. I don't know what's going on over here. I don't. So I'm really sorry. I'm really sorry, but on my end, everything looks fine. And I closed out as many things as possible in hopes that that could make it go faster. So I'm not too sure why that was happening. I don't really do too much for blood, and the reason being is because blood is strong. Okay, using your blood for stuff is freaking strong. It's very, very strong because it's coming from you. For me personally, this is just in my opinion, especially if you're like a new witch starting out, just start out with the things that you have and like creating like a strong intention. I really haven't been like into witchy things that long. Like I said, I started this in 2021. So like in my opinion, like for me, I don't do binding spells, okay? Because binding spells are really strong and binding spells fuck with people's free will. And I don't deal with anything that messes with people's free will. And blood can do that. Blood can mess with a person's free will. So another part of like how far you want to go on your journey of like being a witch is also based into like your boundaries. Like how far are you really trying to go with this, and like how much of an impact are you trying to make, if not in your life, in another person's life? You know what I mean? Because you kind of have to think long and hard about you might have to think long and hard about what spells you're going to use, because like, okay, let's say this, like let's say that there's like a career that you like really want, like let's say you want to be a doctor, okay? Like that's, that's a strong commitment that you have to make, you know what I mean? Well, what if you do a binding spell and you're like, okay, you know what? I'm going to bind myself to the profession of medicine. You know what I'm saying? What if you want to bind yourself to the profession of medicine? Okay, that's cool, but like what if you get binded to the profession of medicine because like let's just say like you're a radiologist, okay? And so to be a radiologist, like you don't need to type, you know what I mean? Like all you need to be for a radiologist is just your vision and your speech, because they do speech dictation and then they visually look at images. Okay, what if you get binded to radiology because you get paralyzed? Like that's how the universe works. And so the universe will give you what you want, but it can't give you something with that strong of a spell without taking something away. You see where I'm getting at? Like when people put into the universe, they're like, I hate my job. I wish I didn't have this job. And like you're over here practicing witch shit. Well, the intention is out there and then you lose your job the next day. So it's really important that like when you build up things that have like a lot of strength, you have to be okay with the things that come along with the strength that you're putting into the spell. So I want to make that really clear, okay? Because sometimes it's not always going to be good whenever you're using something that strong. And yeah, men 100%. So men use blood, you can use blood as a binding spell, especially if you use it sexually. So sometimes, well, in my opinion, a lot of the times it's really not in good faith when men want to have like period sex with you, because when you're engaging in that and then they're taking your blood, that's pretty much a binding spell. Okay. That's pretty much a binding spell when you're having sex with somebody and you're doing it on your period. Okay. Because they're essentially taking like the highest form of energy that you have within yourself, and they're taking it for themselves. They're binding themselves to you. So you have to be very, very careful. So like that's the reason why like they have like the witch's spaghetti or whatever, because like there were women that needed resources. And so because they needed resources, they needed to keep this man around. And so what they would do is they would add their period blood to the man's spaghetti for him to eat it. It's a binding spell, but those women needed to be binded to the man's resources. You know what I mean? This is why I'm not team love spell, okay? Because most love spells are binding spells, and you're taking away someone's free will. And like I said before, when you take away a person's free will, things get really, really shaky. Like for instance, so there was like a story of a girl, and like she started kind of getting into this witchy stuff or whatever. And she was like in a state of desperation with like trying to keep her boyfriend around. Right. And so essentially, one of her friends had told her about this binding spell. And you can do binding spells in different ways. Some people do a binding spell through the freezer. You can do it through your blood. People do it they do it through a glass jar that just sits like in the corner of the home. And so essentially, that's what she did. She did a binding spell in a glass jar, and then she kept it in like the corner or whatever. So essentially, this woman wanted a binding spell where he was only going to talk to her, he was only going to deal with her, and she didn't want him to be around any type of women. Well, the binding spell fucking worked. Okay, the binding spell fucking worked because the guy became incarcerated. He went to jail. So she got exactly what she wanted. He was never going to be around another woman again, because that's what she wanted. And then long story short, he ended up becoming free from incarceration, and then he ended up coming over, and like he was like, what is that? He ended up noticing something was in the corner of the home. He was like, what is that? And so he could pick up the fact that it was like some witchy shit. And so essentially he took it and he smashed that motherfucker down, and then boom, that was it. The spell was unbinded. He unbinded the spell, and he don't talk to her anymore. Based on what you shared earlier, can I use it to break a binding spell? Yeah. In my opinion, when in doubt, get a reversal candle. Okay. When in doubt, get a reversal candle or get a banishing candle. If somebody's trying to bind you to them, you most likely need to banish them. So they have like bitch be gone oil that you can use to be able to dress up your candle. Obviously, it needs to be a black candle. Put a lot of salt around it. Um the the harder, the stronger someone has a tie with you, you need to banish the person. If it's something real light and something that, in my opinion, it's not going to really have like, it's just going to have a negligible effect on your life, you could just do a reversal candle. Just send what it is that they're trying to send to you back to them. But if it's somebody that's really out here like trying to make your life hell and trying to make your life miserable, you need to banish them. You must banish them. um yeah, I went on like a long spiel there. But yeah. I don't know if you guys have any. Oh, do you cut your own hair? Do you cut your own hair or have it cut? I heard you're supposed to burn it so it cannot be used against you. So I actually cut my own hair. I do. I cut my own hair. The only thing is that I had a pretty small amount of hair. I had a pretty small amount of hair. So what I do, I just take it out. I just take everything out. I literally just, anything that I have to remove from my person, I always dispose of it immediately. And another thing too that I highly recommend too, since we're talking about protection spell, so especially for candles, okay? I like to take, you could do like a cast iron pan, any fire safe pan. I like to line my pants. I like to line my pans up with, is it lagging again? I feel like it's lagging again. I like to line my pans up with aluminum foil because number one, it's easier for the candle. Um, it it was easier to stick it, and it's easier for me to dispose of. I like to dispose everything of that. And yes, you can do it in the toilet. You could do it and flush it down the toilet as well. That's what I was gonna say. Sometimes I'll flush the hair down the toilet. You can do that too, as long as it's not living in the home with you. Okay. As long as it's not in your space, it doesn't matter whether you burn it, whether you flush it down the toilet, whether you throw it away outside. As long as it's not in your space, it doesn't really matter how you dispose of it. Just as long as it's not living with you. I think they bind it through period blood. Relationship is over. Still thinks about them even after 2.5 years. Need to just break. So you could do a cord cutting. I have a video on cord cutting. If you, that's another thing that you could do. If you feel as though someone's trying to bind themselves to you, you just do a cord cutting. So essentially, you would just take two candles. You would have one candle represent you and you would have one candle represent the other one. Once again, you can get as creative as you want. You can use a color that would signify whatever it is you're trying to do, or that would signify that person. So like if it was friendship, maybe you would get a white candle and a pink candle, or both candles be pink, whatever it is that you're trying to do. And you could have it be, you just need like you could have like hemp or some type of like rope. But essentially what you want to do, you just tie the rope around. Hold on, I don't think I have any more in here. Okay, perfect. A lot of time people a lot of the time people use a white candle and a black candle. So essentially what you could do, um, you can leave the candles as they are. You can etch their name in the candle. You can make a sigil for yourself and the person and etch it into the candle. You could dress them with oil and dress them with herbs if you want. Like I said, that's up to you. You could even get two birthday candles and do it. It's really not that serious if you don't want it to be. And essentially, you would just take a little cord, you would wrap and tie the cord around the candles, and then essentially you would burn the top of each candle, and you would let the candles burn. And the cord cuttings are really, really, really interesting because it really can tell a story of how the cord cutting is impacting each person. So, like Tatum said, like she said, it took 45 minutes for the other person's candle to burn. You don't have to interpret the cord cutting, but it is kind of cool to interpret the cord cutting. Some people do what's called what is the name? It starts with a C. I forgot, but so you can analyze the cord cutting while it's happening. So like maybe the person doesn't want to cut the cord with you, and so their candle will take a lot longer to burn. Maybe sometimes another person's candle will be more volatile while the other person's will be calm. So the person's candle that is volatile, it could be indicative of them like trying to like fight back the connection being cut. They're angry about the connection being cut. It can be cool to observe, and it's certainly not required. You literally can let it burn and do your own thing. I'm trying to remember the name. I can't remember, but there's another layer of the cord cutting that you can do after the candle burned down. So what people sometimes do is once the candle has burned down, just like how in the egg cleanse, they look for like symbolism in how the candles burn to like do another interpretation and another like reading that you can do with that. There are so many layers to this. Like there's so many layers to the stuff that you could do spiritually. What are some cute witchery practices for the fall and winter? Well, I already mentioned cinnamon. I'm really, really big on cinnamon. Okay. Like I'm huge on cinnamon. I feel like the fall time is a really good time to be a kitchen witch, and it's a really good time for you to play with like witchy things with the intention of like what you're cooking. Um, like adding I already talked about like the cinnamon broom in the front of like your place that you can have for like protection. You can literally have something as simple as just adding cinnamon to like your morning coffee and like setting an intention for that. If you're into making like soup, like soups and stews and things like that, you adding like cute little bay leaves with an intention, like things like that. Like, I don't know. In the fall time, I like to be a kitchen witch because you want to be comforted a lot of the time in the winter. And then I like fire, and that's another good time for you to do like cauldron things, like get a cute little cauldron for like all of your candle stuff. And there are really, really intricate candle spells that you can do. Like you can literally do like five candle spells. So there's like ways that you can like geometrically like shape certain candles, especially if you want to do spells for other people. You can put them in all these cool like little geometric shapes and do a spell that way. There's like a lot of books that I have to there's a lot of books that I have. I've recommended a few on past videos before. um so like if you're into candles, because I have pictures of them, but like there's one called Lighting the Wick by Sandra Maria Wright and Leanne Marama. That's a really good one if you want to get into candle stuff. And then there's also one called The Complete Book of Incense, Oils, and Brews. So that's how you can make all of your like concoctions that you could just kind of run to in a pinch in case you need like some spell work done fast. Yes, boiling a pot of water of herbs to cleanse and freshen up the place. Yeah. So growing up, my grandmother, she used to take cinnamon sticks. She used to take citrus, so she would take orange, she would take apple, she would take clove, and then she would boil it in a pot. And like that's a really like cool witchy thing that you can do, and it smells immaculate. It smells really, really good too. And yes, menstrual blood is super, super good for facials. What are the signs someone is trying to bind themselves to you or cursing you? A lot of the time it feels as though like no matter what, you keep thinking about this person. You feel as though whenever you have a problem, you may need to run to this person to have them solve your problem. Like it just no matter what you do, you feel as though that this person um is going to be the solution, or is required to be the solution to your problems. It will seem as though you cannot do anything to bypass this person. Like you just can't move on by this person. Like it'll get to the point when you're going to start asking yourself like, when don't I need a reason to like reach out to this person or talk to this person? Like after a while, it's gonna start driving you crazy. And then you'll realize that someone's binded themselves to you because you're just it's not gonna make any sense why this person is like still in your mind or still in your life or still gaining relevance of like some time of some way in your life. Like it's not gonna make sense. Um Okay, so here's my opinion on like cursing, okay? Like on somebody cursing you. Am I a big proponent over the fact that it's possible for someone to put a curse on you? Um yes and no, but most of the time no. Honestly, most of the time no. I feel as though the whole element of like someone putting a curse on me, in my opinion, is just giving the person more power, and then you fuel whatever it is more that you think that they're doing to you. That's why I always do a return to sender spell. That way, if I'm thinking about it energetically, I could just send that stuff back to them, because sometimes that you'll think that somebody is cursing you because mentally, it's cursing you. Why doesn't it work in the freezer? Why doesn't what work in the freezer? For pets in the home, simmer pots are safest. There you go. Because y'all know I don't have any animals in here either. But I'm probably going to at the beginning of the year. Hey, yeah, I think I'm going to at the beginning of the year get me some animals. If you're asking about the binding spell for the freezer, okay, binding spells work great in the freezer. However, you have to like think a little, okay? You have to think a little. So like things that can change, okay? Things that can change and they could change negatively. You want to bind that thing when it's in a positive state. So, like men are very fickle. You're not like, because supposedly Shira, like, most likely Shira did like a binding spell on James. Like, she has videos on binding spells. And I think she even admitted that she did a binding spell on James. So, if there's something and you're trying to keep it in like the constant state that it is currently in, well, then that's when you're going to do a binding spell. So, like when a man is like spending money on you and like complimenting you and like doing all these things for you, okay, that's when you want to bind him. Like you want to do the binding spell at that moment to keep him binded to you in like the current version that he is in. Okay. Like, because you don't want that person to like change their state. You want to keep them in the current state in their in. That's the reason why like you're freezing them. I don't want to ever bind something that I have to be attached to for the rest of my life. So like for instance, I'm not binding money, okay? I'm not freaking binding money because I can't unbind myself from something that is a requirement for life. Like I need money. I need money for life. What if my binding at some point then I get unbinded and then I'm gonna not have any money after I like have like an unbinding of some sort. Like I don't want to bind anything that I would have to have as a constant. Only bind something that you're okay with. You're okay for it working out in the moment and you're okay with the eventual tie of unbinding yourself from it. Like no, anything that you're I want to have something, if I'm going to have something binded, I need it like locked in for that particular time or like for that particular reason. And then that way, once I get unbinded, God forbid it get unbinded, it's not going to bother me that much. But like serious things that are like a life reliance, I wouldn't bind yourself to something. Yes. So the thing about it is that I travel for work. So my altars are really, really little. Once I actually quit traveling and I have my own place, then I'll have a nice altar. Like I'll have a nice, nice, nice altar of everything. I travel for work. And so, like, I live out of bags and I have a small altar of the things that mean enough to me and like who I want to, worship on this like current journey of where I am. I bring the few little things with me to have an altar, but like nothing crazy because you can get really crazy with the altars too, with like the offerings that you have, the amount of offerings that you have. If you're gonna burn candles, if you're gonna give the person water, I mean, you can get real elaborate with these. You can get real elaborate with these altars, especially depending on what deity you're gonna have at the altar. Some of them have a high level of maintenance that you have for them in order for them to like bless you or protect you or whatever duty it is that you have for them. But I love that. And like, yeah, like I still have her and I plan to use her soon, but like I have a cute little like figurine candle. So like these are really cool for like, like self-confidence, self-love spells and things like that. And so, you can dress her up in like calendula, you can dress her up in like rosebuds, you know what I mean? Like you can dress her up in, real cute, rose, like, really cute lavish things, for like your self-confidence, your self-love and stuff like that. Do you have a video on someone new with setting up an altar for ancestors? No, I don't have any video I don't have any video currently for like altar setup. I don't. In my opinion, this is what I think. To start, I mean to start out, okay. Um if it's not like, because I don't know if like it's a deity that's like tied to the ancestor. Like I don't know how deep like this whole thing goes essentially, but if it's in relation to like some type of deity, the easiest thing that I always like to say is like start out with the deity, find out what the deity likes, and then give the deity that thing, just to start out. And then once you like want to get more elaborate and like you could start adding more things, you could add more things. Like, and another thing too is that like you can worship different people. You just have to obviously talk to them. You have to essentially like ask for permission from other deities if you can work with them, and also ask the current deity that you're working with, is it okay for you to work with somebody else? You know what I mean? Is it okay for you to go on to like the next phase of like whatever purpose it is that you have to work with another deity and get protection, get allowance like from that deity or whatever. And then it's just wash, rinse, repeat. Like I know people that have worked with several. I know people that have worked with several different deities, and like it's never really been an issue with them. And there are some people that they're only going to work with just one deity. So that is 100% up to you on how you want to do it. I think the biggest thing is like don't think too much on it. Don't think too much on it. It's the biggest thing I feel like is just boundaries. Like just have your own boundaries with like what you're okay with doing. And that's why I always say like your intention is the most important thing. Okay? Your intention is the absolute most important thing. Like because I travel, like my altar, there's not much to it. Like the person, like the deity that I have, it's abundantia, right? She's like a goddess of abundance. She has a cornucopia on her. So like I give her money. I have a water jar. And so the water jar has like gold and coins and cinnamon, you know what I mean? And so from the cornucopia, I give her corn, I give her money from my paycheck, you know what I mean? That way she can pay me back. Like it's cinnamon, I'll sprinkle cinnamon. Like it's nothing crazy. Like it's really nothing crazy. Just as long as you're giving the deity attention and you're not forgetting about the deity and you're giving the deity what they want. And sometimes you have to take things from the deity. Like there's been times where like I didn't have a whole lot of money, and so I had to take money from Abundantia, and I'm like, I'm really sorry, but like I don't have any money, and I really thank you for being there for me to have a source of money for me to take from, and I'll pay you back. And so I take the money, and then you just pay her back, you know? Yes, I burn incense. I do. I burn incense. I burn Palo Santo. I burn sage. I have oud that I burn. I burn a lot of stuff. I burn a lot of stuff. I always get confused. What do you do if you give them money? Do you take it back? If I have to take the money back, yeah, I was going to say, I'm like, if I have to take the money back, then yeah. And then usually what I do is I just try to give even more money um, to her than she had before. Because each of them have their own like special things. Like I can't remember what deity it was that my teacher had worshipped, but I know she said that like the deity required like fresh water every day. It was like another animal. It needed fresh water every single day. So yeah, whatever they like, you just give them whatever they like. Some deities like candy, some deities like alcohol. Um yeah, and usually they say that like the strength of what you give your deity is how far they're going to work for you. And this is why I said that like the the level of like layer that you put into your spell work that strengthens the intentionality because you're working with it longer. So like you could do water jars, but you could also do honey jars. And it's like honey jars are if you want something like far out in the future, so you don't care about it happening slower. Whereas water jars, it would be for something that you would want to have happen quickly. And so for honey jars, because it's something that you're okay with happening far out into the future, that's something that like you really kind of do want to have like a high level of intention, and like you do want to put a lot into it because it's going to be long lasting. The intention is going to be there long lasting. So you, if you could, like, you really don't want to get like a $7 bottle of honey, you know what I mean? Like you kind of want to get like a $30 bottle of honey. Like you kind of want to go above and beyond and like put a nice investment into something like that, because if you're okay with it like taking you a while and you're okay with it happening slower, it must be a big thing that you already have to put a large investment into. So that needs to be reflective of like how the spell is going to go. But yeah, you guys asked really good questions. Like honestly, you guys asked really good questions this live stream. This is like the longest that I've been able to go on a live stream, because usually I just like talk and ramble, and I try to come up with as many things as possible to keep talking about, but you guys asked really good questions, so it made it really easy. But yeah, I really appreciate you guys popping in on here. Since I'm free, I'm going to be popping in on here a lot more often. And if there's like any other suggestions that you all have as far as like what you guys want me to talk about when it comes to spell work, I know I mentioned on the live stream on the other channel that I would be going about on about like more symbolism stuff, because like that's what I'm really into. I like, excuse me, I like deciphering things with symbolism. Um, because you're not so surprised by things when you pay attention to symbolism, because symbolism is in everything. Symbolism is actually the key to marketing, from the colors that they use to the font that they use for their text, the length of commercials. There's symbolism in everything, and it's subliminally training your subconscious for you to think a certain way, for you to believe a certain thing. And so that's kind of like why I like things that are rooted in symbols. And that's also why I like making sigils. So maybe the next video that I do, I'll teach you all how to make sigils, because sigils are really cool. They are essentially, you make an intention, you cross out all of the repeated letters, and like you essentially like keep the consonants, and from the remaining letters that you have, you make like a symbol out of those letters. And you can, it's like your own, like it's like your own little special seal. Like it's really cool, and you can use it to like engrave candles, or if you have like powder or sand, you could put the sigil in there. Or if you're working with anything with like a herb or something, you could try to like make it in like the shape of the sigil. Like to me, it's just like really cool stuff, and because it's just unique and it's no rules to making a sigil. Is just whatever your brain wants to do. And like that's like the fun type of like spell stuff, is when you can just make stuff just based off of your own like creativity, you know what I'm saying? So, and I'm glad that I'm inspiring you all to like get back into your spiritual practices, especially now. The collective is tired. The collective is tired. There's a lot of things that are weighing on people mentally right now and emotionally right now. And I feel like spell work is a really good way to get back grounded again. It's a really good way to reignite your belief system and kind of give you something to believe in, give you something to look forward to, and kind of give you something to have optimism for. Because yeah, I mean, if I could be frank, there's really not much that a lot of people have a lot of optimism for in the current climate that we are living in. So yeah, so I'm gonna get off of here, okay? Um, I will probably be back on the main channel tomorrow. It depends. I'm trying to not overwork myself because that's a really, if you've been here long enough, you already know that that's a really bad habit of mine. I like to hit the ground running until I fall into the ground. And so I'm trying to make sure that like I'm not doing too much too soon. And I'm trying to like listen to my body day to day, just to make sure that I'm not doing too much. So I'm not 100% sure if I'm going to be live streaming tomorrow. I'm trying to get slowly but surely get a schedule for all of that. So, yeah, I hope you all enjoyed. Don't forget to like, don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. And I'll talk to you all next time. Bye.